You're listening to Who the Chel Cares, and I'm your host, Chelsea. I'd like to introduce Sarah Thompson-Boyson. She was born and raised in Utah. She's 26 years old and owns a real estate company with her husband, Braden. I approve of Braden. Sarah loves dogs, thanks to Louise. We were roommates years ago. Emotional boundaries, and traveling as much as she possibly can. When she was 16 years old, Sarah was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, bipolar disorder, and Tourette Syndrome, which we will cover in part 2. Sarah has spent the last 10 years trying to figure out how to navigate treatment centers, family therapy sessions, countless medication changes, all while still attempting to be a functioning and decent human.
Yeah, it was so great. And I knew very quickly that we were going to get along very well. One other thing.
Please. I'm scared.
I don't know if you remember this. It was just funny. And I just think it shows a lot about people. Is I remember from when I met you to go, you'd show me the townhome. First time we met in person. We were walking around the townhome, and I was really nervous because whenever I meet a new person or I'm in a new environment, my tics get really bad.
Yeah.
And I was really nervous that you were gonna I was just kind of nervous if I was gonna be ticking really bad, if you were gonna notice. So I kind of
how do I bring it up?
Yeah, so I was kind of okay, I'm gonna bring it up so that I just get it out of the way is what I usually like to do. And so we're talking, and I'm like, oh, by the way, I have Tourette Syndrome, and sometimes my tics get kind of bad. They're kind of annoying. They can get kind of loud, and it might be kind of annoying. I don't know if that would bother you. And you were like,
surprise, bitch.
That doesn't bother me at all. But I was like, oh, no. You were like, I don't know if you noticed. And I was like, nope, didn't notice at all. And
look at us.
That just made me realize, first of all, we all only pay attention to our own things. No one cares about anyone but themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we should all stop worrying about, what we look like, what we're doing, any of it.
And the people who, worry about what other people look like or whatever, that's a them problem. That's a you need to work through some stuff. You can do that over there.
And I don't need you in my corner, so.
Yeah,
totally. That was, one of my favorite things. And I was like, oh, yeah, we're gonna be fine.
So glad. I feel like I remember that. We were in the living room, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, bro, same. We same but not same?
Yes.
We all got something. And I think
Everyone
that's
does.
something too. Have you realized with having Tourette syndrome that it's a big part of your life, but it's also not the biggest?
Yeah.
Because I thought as a kid this was going to be the biggest part of my life.
Yeah.
I'll never get over this. I'll never be normal. I'll never be anything, right? Well, one, what is normal? No one's normal.
Yeah.
There's standard that's been accepted by society. And if you're outside of that, then you're taboo in some way. Most people are outside of that, actually. So I just think it's interesting. I couldn't have picked a better person to meet at that time, to live with, to learn from, because you really have taught me so much. And I try to share in the words that you've explained to me the things you've taught me, which I think is important. If people are teaching you about their things, right? Whatever that thing is, you should use the verbiage that they use.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
smart.
On that note, what are some verbiages that you would, or words, I'm overusing the word verbiage. What words would you use when talking about Tourette syndrome? Because I don't think it's very highly talked about.
No, it's not, which is odd because, tics are one of the most common, pediatric disorders they're higher than like
learning disabilities.
Yeah, like tics in general are very high in like children. Tourette syndrome, I think, is about like 5%, 10% of, or no, maybe like 5 in 100 people have Tourette syndrome.
Usually diagnosed as children?
Usually diagnosed as children. So the difference between a like tic, you know, if you have a tic disorder and Tourette syndrome is in order to have Tourette syndrome, you need a motor tic and then a vocal tic and multiple vocal tics. And then for a tic disorder, it would just be like a motor tic.
Because it's so common that like not everyone who has a tic has Tourette's.
Yes. So a lot of people have a tic, like a little like clearing of their throat, or maybe you know, a lot of people have like they scrunch their nose.
Can I ask what yours are?
Yeah, so I have quite a few tics, but my main one, and I've had this one since I was like 5. That was my first tic, is scrunching my nose, doing this like when I was like 5 and trying to do like a kindergarten program. I got up there and like just couldn't stop scrunching my nose.
Talking about them makes them
makes them worse. Tics are like kind of like an itch, and if you don't itch it, it gets like worse and worse. It's a neurological disorder, and yeah, thinking about it, talking about it brings it more to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
I have a snapping tic. I have a tic like beep beep.
Make the beep beep noise.
Beep beep. And then I have one of the craziest ones I've had. I mean, at adolescence, it gets worse for a lot of people. And that's when my tics were absolute worst, is when I was like 17. I actually broke my collarbone because I had a tic where I'd shake my head and then hit my collarbone.
Oh no.
And
ow.
I just did it like so much that I broke my collarbone, fractured it. But have you seen Encanto? It's like a children's movie, like Disney.
Yeah. I don't remember it super well,
Okay.
But
there's a scene in it where this guy goes like knock, 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 knock on wood, and he hits like his head.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like after watching that, I could not stop hitting Brayden's head and doing that. So that was really fun.
Oh, like you would, because that thing was stuck in your head?
Mm-hmm. Like,
and it was a similar...
Mm-hmm. So there's different types of tics. There's tics where like coprolalia, which is like the swearing tic.
Okay.
That's actually less than like 10% of people have that tic, which is interesting because that's like what's associated most commonly with Tourette syndrome.
Probably because of media.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's kind of like funny to talk about. There's like copying tics where you copy what you see.
Okay.
And that's kind of like what happens, you know, what happened with that particular tic. I saw it, so I started copying it.
So has that happened with other things?
Yes, like with accents. If I hear someone with an accent, sometimes I'll start copying that accent. So it's
actually quite interesting, right? Like having this knowledge about yourself, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are undiagnosed.
Yeah.
Yeah. In like versions of this. Same with like the disability world.
Mm-hmm.
It's also kind of diagnosis for self, what's the word? Identification.
Mm-hmm.
So different.
Yes.
Right? Like anyone can diagnose someone based off of a rubric.
Yes.
It's your self-identification. And so you got both of those. Do you think that the diagnosis helped with your self-identification? Or if you were never diagnosed with Tourette syndrome, would you know kind of how to manage those as well, do you think?
No, I definitely think being diagnosed helped me. But I don't know. I mean, the interesting thing about Tourette's is there's not really a cure. There's no specific medication for Tourette's. A lot of people take anti-anxiety medications, sometimes like like psychosis medications, maybe like mood stabilizers, a concoction of those. That's kind of what I do. That's helped me a lot. And then talk therapy, CBT therapy helps a lot.
What does that stand for?
You
don't have to know it.
Cognitive behavior therapy.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I was like...
No, you're good.
And also, like, with some of my, like, worst tics, like that one, doing, like, opposite movement. So, like, when I really felt like I needed to do this, I would do this.
So somewhere less vulnerable.
And those are, like, really difficult to work on.
Well, you're not trying to do it. So it's like trying to make yourself do something when you need to sneeze.
Yeah. It's like, basically, like, the neurons in your brain are going off, and just, like, the thing about Tourette's is you really have little control over it. And some people have less control over it. Luckily for me, I've been working on it for a long time. Like, since I was 17, like, I went to a specialist for it, and then I've had a lot of time to work on it. And then also, for a lot of women, it gets better. They're able to grow out of it.
Oh, interesting.
Tourette's is actually worse for men, and a lot of times men aren't able to grow out of it as much. So
I remember you telling me a story once, because a few people in your family have it, right? Like, so cousins or...
My sister was diagnosed. She was actually diagnosed, like, really late. Usually in Tourette's, you're diagnosed, like, under the age of, like, 10. She was diagnosed at, like, I think the age of, like, 23.
Okay.
And then my nephew was diagnosed with, like, a tic disorder.
Okay.
But...
You told me a story once where someone's tic was kind of snorting like a pig.
Yeah, that was my nephew.
Okay, and then you started to pick up, like, when you spent time together?
Yeah,
and
that's really common.
Okay.
So, even, like, when I would go to Tourette's support groups, or when I was in treatment, there was another girl who had Tourette Syndrome, and we would pick up on each other's tics, and that was very difficult. That's really common with Tourette's.
Is that explained?
It's kind of like there's a certain type of tic that's like echoilia, which is, copying. And I don't know if it's, like, super explained, but
it would be, like, that
one. When you see, you do. Okay. And my tics have changed, throughout my life. The only ones that I've had consistently have been my nose, and I have a cough that I'll do, and I think those are the two that have stayed with me since I was, like, 5. Other than that, my tics will come and go. Like, for example, I haven't done this one since I was maybe, like, 20. And
was that tough to navigate, like, dating when you and Brayden started getting more serious? Like, tell me what that kind of looks like with you interacting with other people on a more intimate level.
Yeah.
Like your closer friends, dating, things like that.
Like, I remember the first time I had a tic storm. So that is basically when I'm able to suppress my tics to a certain degree. Some people with tics aren't able to do that. But I'm able to, like, suppress them. Not really this one, but I can kind of suppress them. Like, used to be like when I was in high school, I would try and suppress them all day while I was at school.
Right. How exhausting.
It's very exhausting. It takes you're constantly thinking about it.
Right.
Constantly trying not to tick. It's basically like, if you were constantly trying not to, like, scratch or, blink. And then I would get home and have these massive tick storms or massive tick attacks. And the longer you wait to tick, the bigger and more aggressive it gets. Okay. So the more aggressive I would hit myself, or the more aggressive the snapping would get, and the longer they would last. And so usually on dates or in big social situations, I would try and suppress as much as I could. Now, I've never really been able to suppress my facial tics very well, but I could more suppress my, like, complex tics.
Okay.
Now, there's different types of a simple tick or a complex tick. Simple tick is kind of like my nose. Complex tick would involve, like, multiple movements or words.
Okay.
So simple tics I can't really suppress, but complex tics I can to some degree.
Did it take long for Brayden to just be like, don't suppress them? Like, or did you have to have that conversation?
When me and Brayden were dating, my tics had definitely gotten a lot better.
I mean, you were in a decent, for as much of, like, a turmoil year it was, mm-hmm. I'm not even speaking English today. For the terrible year it was for both of us, mm-hmm. It was also a really, I don't know, Brayden's an angel.
He is.
Just dropped down into Buckle.
Yeah.
Somehow. I don't really remember that story completely, but I knew it was good. When this dude kept coming over and my dog, who doesn't like anyone, liked mm-hmm. him, I was like, And then, like, your demeanor started to improve and things mm-hmm. like that. And so when you meet people like that are just so safe up front, like, I wonder, for people like us who have this, like, barrier when it comes to being intimate, like, mine's mm-hmm. my hand. When do I tell people about that? Do I do it on the dating app or do I do it in person?
Yeah.
Same for you with your tics. Like, mm-hmm. So it happened fairly soon and he was just like, please just be comfortable around me.
Totally. I think I told him, like, pretty early on. I usually tell people, like, first date, because I just get, when I don't tell people, I get nervous mm-hmm. and then I tick more.
Naturally. It would make sense.
The first time I had a tick storm around Brayden, he called my mom because he had never seen me have that many ticks. And I had a tick storm more because I was having, like, a panic attack.
Okay.
And when I have panic attacks, I naturally kind of have a tick storm because mm-hmm. I'm so anxious. My ticks are all coming out. It's all just, like, a mess. And we were actually, like, married at that point.
Okay.
And he called my mom, like, he went downstairs. He didn't know what to do. I was hitting myself. So I actually because that was more recent. I was hitting myself.
But that was in a tick storm. It's not just, like, day to day.
Yeah, that was in a tick storm. He called my mom and was like, what do I do? And my mom was just like, she just kind of has to tick it out. And he was like, okay. And then he just came up and, like, sat with me, like, brought me water. So sweet about it.
That's got to be a really hard thing to see as someone who cares about you so much.
Yeah.
Because it is essentially you hurting yourself with some of the tics.
Yeah.
And to see the discomfort that comes with that, like, when all he wants to do is just have you be happy and safe and cozy and, you know what I mean?
But on a day-to-day, he will sometimes do things like to provoke them on purpose.
I mean,
just I'm not saying
I'm not saying that he's perfect.
No.
Or that you guys don't have fun.
But he will, like, he'll do things like turn on, like, that show Encanto.
Okay.
And that one, I mean, that's his.
He knows.
I hit his head.
Yeah, I was going to say, he knows what to expect with that.
Yes. Or he'll do, like, say something like beep beep, and he knows it'll just get me going. Like beep 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 beep.
But if you were to say don't do that, he wouldn't do it.
And like my dad, he always looks at me and will just go and just get me going. And I'm like, Dad, seriously?
I think, though, in a way, it's really beautiful that we can be lighthearted and kind of joke about these things in our life that we've been dealt.
Yes.
Because what a shitty way to live, to just be offended by everything and to be... I mean, I joke about my hand almost constantly.
Yeah.
I haven't heard you joke about ticks much, but you do a little.
Yeah.
And it's important. It's a coping skill. And to like shame people or the people around you to not kind of engage with you about it.
Yeah.
I would rather people address or acknowledge, at least, not address. They don't need to address shit with me. Acknowledge that I have 6 fingers, right? So that when I do make a joke, you're not fucking lost.
Yes. And it's the same way with like...
You can help me if I need help, too.
Yes.
You have to acknowledge these things for you to either to coexist with people with differences than you and to help them. Because, I mean, sometimes we do need help. And what would those look like for you? You said sometimes you just need to take it out. But is there, like, soothing things that you do? Or, like,
honestly,
coping?
Like, most of it is just, like, if someone's having a panic attack, what would you help them with? Or sometimes even I'm not even that anxious. They just need to come out. And it's just, it's loud. And I just need to get out of a situation. And I feel embarrassed. So I just kind of, we're at the movie theater and I'm,
Irish exit.
We've done that before. And then sometimes, we're at dinner at a restaurant and I'm ticking. And, it's as simple as him being like, it's fine. Like, we don't need to leave. Or being fine if I do want to leave.
Yeah.
So there's like 2
communication.
sides of it. Say that again.
Communication.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I'm at a decent place with Tourette's now. I'm lucky because mine has gotten significantly better than when I was in, adolescence.
Right.
Some people don't have that. But there was a lot of years where it was just kind of constant. And so it is a lot better. But,
good.
Sometimes the nose just keeps going and you just kind of...
Oh, it's cute as hell.
Oh, thank you. It's... Yeah. But, I mean, Tourette's is also, like, almost always paired with, like, ADHD or OCD. Like, and that's something people don't really link it with as well. And so those are fun things too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm just so glad that you're willing to talk about it because I don't know anyone else personally that has this. And so I often feel lost in getting information on the internet.
Yeah.
When it's especially not coming out of someone's mouth. And like, that's why I like that I have video and audio so that people can see these things.
Yeah. And
it's coming from firsthand experience. We're not here telling people that we're experts on things. Like, I don't know how everyone... Yeah, you don't know everyone's experience with Tourette syndrome, but you know yours.
Yeah.
And you can give pieces of advice to help because, like you said, there's a lot of people out there with it.
Yeah.
And with tic disorders and things like that. And so we all need to be better about knowing how to coexist with one another.
Yes.
Because it's not what it used to be. We're not ignoring people with differences from us. We need to embrace them and bring them into the community and adapt to the community to include everyone.
And how interesting is it to learn new things too?
It is. I'm so sick of getting fed trash on social media. Like, I'd love to contribute some substance to it.
Yeah, I agree. I love this. I love that you're doing a podcast.
Thank you. And thank you for helping me. Honestly, I'm really grateful for my friends who are willing to do this with me because I think that I'm pretty cool.
You are.
But
It
not
does.
everyone thinks I'm cool. And I don't always think I'm cool. But I think if you're not proud of where you're at, do something to be proud of where you're at, you know? And if you're in a spot that it's like nothing is good, you'll get there. Lean on people. Like, I seriously thought I would not make it to 30. 27 even.
You'll get there.
Yeah, and it'll be good
Mm-hmm.
if you are selfish and advocate for yourself.
Seriously.
Because until I started doing that, I was miserable.
Being selfish is the best thing that's happened to me.
What did being selfish look like for you since, like, living together? Because that was really kind of when your life changed.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting Brayden, getting out of a bad relationship before that, you know, like, we're not naming names, but, like, you get out of a situation, and if you are lucky enough to find a good one that works well for you, hold on to it. And it's so nice to see that you did that. So my tangent's gone, but go for it.
Honestly, setting, like, boundaries and holding myself accountable too, because I used to not have a whole lot of I guess I had somewhere I wanted to go. I had something that I wanted to be, but I didn't have a whole lot of, like, accountability for myself on how I wanted to get there. And the choices I was making were not going to get me there, but I still wanted to get there. Like, I still had these goals, right?
Well, I remember when we first moved in, right? We were both, like, retail background chicks. So we could connect with that. You were in a store. You were running a store, a buckle store. And you eventually wanted to have, like, your own.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you had, like you said, you had these goals. Do you think, though, that just that realm is really hard to motivate yourself in? Like, retail management is insane.
Yeah.
Your schedule's off every other week. You can't have, like, consistency that way, really. You are working long hours, on your feet always. Like, it's a burnout situation.
Yeah.
Whereas you seem to find one that's not necessarily burnout. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. I loved retail.
Even the buckle?
I did.
Okay.
I actually loved where I worked.
So much product, though.
So much product. Honestly, I don't think any of my problems came from where I worked.
Really?
Like, genuinely, like, sometimes, like, I'm like, I would still go back and work there.
Okay.
Truthfully. It was more of, like, I was just, like, during that year is the year I wasn't going to therapy. I was just kind of, like, taking a break because I was like, you know, I don't want to pay the money for it. And I wasn't doing, like, the things I knew I needed to be doing to, like, really
be well.
Yeah, put my life to the next level. And I kind of was, like, blaming it on, like, man, I'm really busy and I have, like, all of these things I want to do socially.
But a therapist would probably tell you those things that, like, you're not doing.
And I wasn't very happy, and I just wasn't really pushing myself. And I mean, there was also other things going on that I needed to get out of. I wasn't in a great relationship, and I was also just hopping from relationship. And
which is,
yeah,
to defend you a little bit, normal in your early 20s.
It is normal. And
sustainable, not so much.
And I met Brayden, and he was kind of opposite of what I had been doing, opposite of the guys I had been dating, opposite of you know, my lifestyle, opposite of everything. And at first I was like, this probably won't work. And then immediately I was just like, why is this just everything that I want? And
deserve to have.
Yeah. And I think the biggest things that I have changed in my life are I take the time to do therapy. I take the time to exercise. I mean, sometimes, not all the time, but, you know, I take the time to, you know, wake up and, you know, just put a little bit of time into like a morning routine, which I used to just like wake up and literally roll out of bed and go to work, you know?
Let's go. Yeah.
And I just put more time into myself, and that really helps. And then I also don't put time into relationships, friendships that don't fuel me. And that means I don't have a lot of friendships.
Yeah, no. Legitimately, though.
Yeah.
Especially in your, like, mid to late 20s. Like, it's very transitional, right? Because likely you've held on to some friends from high school or, like, your teenage years. Mm-hmm. But then you've changed completely. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you're not that person anymore. Mm-hmm. It would be unfair to pretend you were.
Yeah.
And so your relationships have to change, too, to an extent. I'm going through the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think what's important to note when it becomes a little bit more lonely because you're doing, like, quality over quantity, and it's important to note that those people aren't bad.
Yeah,
It's important to note that you don't have, like, animosity towards them, and that you really do, like, I believe this is you, it's me as well, like, you hope the best for them.
Totally.
Do we need each other in our lives anymore? Not for me.
Yeah. And that's probably actually better for the other person too. Because the person that I was, you know, when maybe I was friends with that person, I probably wasn't bringing the most to their life either, you know? Right. And so I think growing and changing is a good thing.
And you're not holding it against them that they're not changing the way you're changing.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own way.
Yeah.
And it would, I don't know, I think social media is letting people hold on to friendships that shouldn't necessarily be held on to easier. Like exes still following your things and stuff like that. Like, it should just be a clean slate. You shouldn't be offended when someone unfollows you. You shouldn't be offended. Like, it's just, you move on. Yeah. You go to the next stage of your life. They go to the next stage in their life. And if you rekindle, that's great. But wouldn't you want to leave it on a note? For me, I like to leave it on a note that's like, if you ever want to come back and talk to me, that's great. Mm-hmm. We'd love to have a conversation. I think I'm obviously working my own things out through this conversation.
That's what it's for.
But, pardon me, I think friendship breakups and things like that are really hard to navigate. How did you do that in a way that felt effective for you?
I am the queen of ghosting. I just don't deal with it.
It doesn't feel like there needs to be a confrontation, so why have one?
I don't really have a confrontation. I just don't. Yeah, we just kind of slowly. I don't.
Exit stage left.
Yeah, I don't know if I've had that many, like, I feel like if it was a really deep friendship and then I was feeling like, man, this is a really bad friendship that I'm in, maybe then. But most of the things I'm talking about are just people that I kind of was with, friendships with, and then...
It seemed that you had some friendships that were based around activities.
Yes.
So when you're not doing those activities anymore, then those friendships kind of lack things that you thought they had.
Totally. It was more not like super substantial. And so, yeah, I don't.
And again, nothing negative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't. I'm just not really big into the whole, like, let's talk about it, let's dig into it. I don't know. Maybe that I should be, but I'm just kind of like, Like, if they felt the need to come and ask me, like, hey, why haven't we hung out? I'd be happy to just be like, oh, yeah, like, I don't know.
I think more often than not, like, ghosting is the way most relationships end. However, that can be kind of hurtful sometimes. Unless it is, like, when it's a more surface level, obviously. And I don't think anyone owes anyone anything.
Yeah.
If that's the way you want to take care of it, that's totally fine. I think everyone needs to find their closure in their own way. But that's good. Cleaning up, like, your friendships and your relationships, having boundaries, therapy consistently, I should say.
Also, just getting older. I feel like I have seen, like, I think it's just cool, like, the older I get, the more I like myself. And I don't know if it's just because I've seen myself grow, or if it's, like, but I feel like I'm at a point in my life where, like, this is the most I've liked myself. This is, like, the most I've, like, gotten along with myself in my own head. This is the most...
We're gonna eat lunch after this.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. I feel like it's cool to finally be in a place where I'm, like, not at a constant battle with who I am. And that's cool because you're with yourself every second of every day. And so you might as well be, like...
Chilling,
yeah.
Do you think the career change that you took is kind of helping with that? Like, giving you more confidence? You have this success story now of, like, a career and things to show for it.
Absolutely. I think it was scary to make the jump.
Which, tell us where you went to. You went from retail management to...
Yeah, so I jumped into... Well, I was actually working retail management. Well, I was working at Buckle. And then when me and Braden got married, I actually went to Real Advantage Title. And I worked for a title company for like a year as their marketer. And I thought that was going to be like my first like grown up big girl job, not retail. It was a 9-to-5. And turns out working retail worked a lot better for me and Braden's schedules because I worked a 9-to-5. Braden
is a realtor.
Yep. And I would, work 9-to-5, get home at 5. He would leave at 5 because everyone wants to see houses when they get off work.
Right.
So we would actually never see each other. And then I would be up on the weekend and he would be working the weekends. So I did that for like a year. Our first year of marriage, we never saw each other. And that was like hard. I liked the company I worked for. It was a good job. But Braden's company was like growing.
Also, it's cutting out another part of your life. So that was good. But then your at-home life is now not where you'd like it to be. Yeah.
And it kind of felt like I was like feeling this pull towards real estate because I was seeing him in it constantly. Oh,
were they shutting off? Just go through it. Are they actually shutting off?
Yeah, it said power off.
Oh, shoot. Try and turn them back on. Hold it down. Maybe it was because of time or something.
Okay, it says low battery. Please recharge headset.
Just push through it. That's what mine's been saying for an hour.
It says power off. Should I just keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Start over. Say, you were being pulled towards real estate.
Okay. Yeah, so I was being kind of pulled towards real estate because I was seeing him do it, and he was running his business, and I kind of felt like I could help him.
Yeah. You were seeing some areas that you could help improve.
Yeah, and honestly, he was amazing. I mean, he's been doing real estate for like 8 years now, and truly is great at it. You know, has a really great business, really great clients, all of that. So it wasn't like I was like, oh, he needs my help. But it was just like little things like, man, I really think I would love doing that. And I think I could like really add to this business. And so we kind of talked about it, and he was really excited when I was like, hey, I think I might want to get into this. His parents are both in real estate and working it together. Mm-hmm. And so I think that was exciting to him. I was a little nervous.
He had a great example to be like, oh, and we could do that too.
Yeah. I was a little nervous to do that just because, first of all, I would be like leaving a salary job to go work 100% commission.
Right.
And that's scary.
Yeah.
But we did it. I got my real estate license, and it's almost been 2 years. And I think...
Give us some numbers. You guys won something, didn't you?
And Braden's been doing this for, I mean, he's been great without me. But...
we know that. But the business together.
Yeah, so we're in the top 5%.
That's amazing.
Of Northern Wasatch. So that's cool. And
big accomplishment.
It is, yeah.
Especially because it was a competitive year.
Yeah.
Couple years.
It's been competitive, yeah. And we have, I mean, great clients we work with. Love our job. And it's really fun to work together.
Good.
I love what I do. And I feel like that has helped. I feel like working side by side with Braden has really helped my confidence, because I've seen Braden is a very confident guy. He's like the least cocky guy you'll ever meet. Like, he's not cocky. He's very confident in what he does. And so it's helped me be confident and feel like, oh, I could also do this. Like, because he has like so much passion and confidence in what he does, it like helps me also feel like excited about it.
Totally.
He's also very enthusiastic.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's fun to work next to someone who is that like fun and excited.
Because when you're two mellow chicks, you're a mellow person.
Yes.
Sometimes that vibe gets low. Mm-hmm. The vibrations are low.
Yes.
Unintentionally.
Yes.
I feel that with us. So it's nice to have a partner that's like, let's go run around for a sec. Yes. Or like, let's get the vibes up, or lighter humor, I think. Oh, that's really awesome.
I need that big time, because I will just be like...
dig a hole and lay in there for a couple of days?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then he really can help get me out of that. And yeah, so it's been great. And I think it's so funny that you got to see me through so many interesting phases.
We both did.
Mm-hmm. We both did. It
was an interesting 10 months living on 25th Street in Ogden in, what was it, 2018?
I think so.
Ugh.
R.I.P.
But I guess it just goes to show, like, it's another chapter in your book. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't forever. This situation's not forever. And it can improve.
Yeah.
It takes work.
Yeah.
Damn. What else? What else should we cover?
And we have hit we have gone through a lot.
Thank you so much for your candidness.
Yeah.
And just
no other way to be.
Honestly. I love you.
I love you too.
And maybe we'll have you back for another
We
one.
need to do this more.
Okay.
Even without the mics sometimes.
Yeah. Obviously without the mics. But every once in a while with the mics is nice.
Yeah. I'm
well,
down
good.
for a little karaoke.
I need to have a girls' night sometime soon.
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching or listening to Who the Chel Cares. I'm your host, Chelsea, and I hope you give a fuck too. If you would like, rate, subscribe, share, comment, DM me. I want to know your guys' feedback on these episodes. It helps me learn and grow and give you guys what you want to listen to. So I'm really excited about the upcoming episodes, and I hope you are too.